and start. Just doing the live stream here. I'll pull up your piece, Aria, and then I'll hand it off to you. Okay, here we go. Whenever you're ready, Aria.
Hello, my name is Arya and I'm going to play the harp.
Awesome, very nice job, especially with holding the last note, right? I think a lot of students like to just finish their piece really quickly, but nice job just being able to hold it all through. And then for this piece, right, you have, is this a draft or are you done with this piece?
No, I'm gonna work on like pedaling.
Okay, nice. Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of pedaling going on in
Wait,
this
no,
piece,
like
so you'll work on
after this, like right now I'm just working on like doing the piece, and then after this class, the next class I'm gonna learn on pedaling.
Okay, awesome. Well, excited to hear how that sounds when you add that. Well, thank you for playing for us. Let's move on to, let me see, Eva. Am I saying your name right, Eva, or is it? Yeah, okay. I have an Eva and she goes by Ava.
Can I start?
Awesome, very good. This is a fun little bluesy piece. So is this one, how long have you been working on this one?
Honestly, I don't know.
You're not sure? Okay. No worries. So one thing on this piece that we could talk about is rhythm, right? So there's a rhythm that continuously happens in the left hand, aside from these last two measures, where we have it's kind of like I would say it's pretty common in blues and maybe even like ragtime, where we have a group of notes or maybe just a note being placed on an and, right? So not like a big beat, not like a 1, 2, or 3. So over here, right, just like for the first measure, you would do something, I'll put in the ands so you can see what I mean here, right? So it'd be like 1 and 2 and 3. So I'll actually play it for you, but the way that you're playing it right now, right? It is very steady, so it's always good, right? That we're playing steady, nice and steady. In this specific rhythm, right? We want to go 1 and 2 and 3. So 1 and 2 and 3, like that. I'm gonna just play it once, and then I want you to try it just with that first measure with the left hand. So 1 and 2 and 3, and without the counts. Okay. So can you just try that for that first measure?
1, 2, and 3.
So just the left hand. If you can just do the left hand. So 1 and 2 and 3. on and.
One and two. One and two and three and.
Very nice. Good work. Yeah, so that is the rhythm that you have throughout most of this piece. Oh, I guess I didn't see this one. Also doesn't, and this one doesn't have that rhythm, but for the most part, right, that's happening throughout. So really good. Awesome. We can, and then later on, we'll talk about some movements in this piece because you have a couple things going on. So let's take it to Naya. Go ahead and introduce yourself in the piece, and whenever you're ready, start playing.
My name is Naya, and I'm going to be playing Baha'i Kubo.
Awesome. Also very nice. Good, good, good. So this piece here, it seems like it's in a different language, right? Do you know what language it's in?
Tagalog.
Tagalog? Awesome. Okay. Very cool. Very cool. So yeah, this piece also has a little bit of those, like, I'd say syncopated rhythms, right? Where, for example, like here, over here, you have those notes coming in on an and, right? So it's not a big beat, it's the in-between beat. But yeah, I thought you did really well with this one. And let me think. So yeah, we're about at halfway. So I think we can take a look at your guys' pieces, and something I was seeing across, I think, all of them. Let me just double check this one. Yeah, okay. Let's talk about movements. So we'll start with Naya's piece here. Let's find the first one. So you're starting in, what is this 5-finger position that you're starting in? And anyone can answer. So we're just looking at this first measure. Naya?
G position.
G position, exactly. So this is the first thing that I like to look at. All right, this is our G position, G 5-finger position. And that means our 1 is on G, our 5 is on D. So I'll have you guys already just get in this position with your right hand because we're going to talk about a movement. So the first one that I want to talk about is, let's look at, oh, this actually will be interesting. So we'll look at this part right here. So right here is where I'm noticing the position changes, and you could do multiple things, but I'm just wondering what you guys would think to do if you're in a G position and then you need to get your thumb all the way down to this E. What would be your thought process? What movement are we doing? And it's okay if you guys don't know the actual name. If you just explain what's happening, I can help you figure out the name for the movement. Okay, Naya?
You shift, like, you shift down.
Exactly. Very good. That was the one I was looking for. So shifting down, right? We draw a little arrow going to the left because the note's going down the piano, right? Getting lower. That's going to be to the left, right? If we're looking down at our piano. So that I will write the shift here. And then, so shift, say down by 2. We don't really have to say the down by 2 part, but as long as you guys can recognize we're shifting down by 2 steps, okay? So what I want you guys to do is I'd like you to in order to practice this, let's be in a G 5-finger position. And then I want you guys to practice the shift going down by 2 steps. So let's start on, so we make sure we are in the G 5-finger position. We'll have you guys start right here, okay? So that's a 2 on A, and then we'll do the shift. So Naya, if you can show us how that sounds, that would be great. And then I'll call on the other people here. So are you able to start right here on the A and then yeah. Yeah, let's stop around, I think here is fine. Okay. Thank you, Naya, for showing us how to do that one. Eva or Arya, are you guys ready? One of you? Or can one of you give it a try? Okay, Arya, go ahead. We're gonna start with our second finger on A.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure.
You're not sure how to do it? Okay, so do you know how to find the G position?
Put your thumb on G.
Exactly. So what we want to do is let me number these notes because I know you guys aren't too familiar with this piece. So just go ahead and play these notes. So 2, 4, 1, and then you're gonna shift. Perfect. Now shift your hand down by 2 steps. And this becomes your 1 now, right?
Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yep, sounds like you got it. All right. And then Eva, if you can give it a try. Very nice. Great job. Okay. And this one, I normally don't make the movements so long, but this one was a little bit like that. So thanks for bearing with me. Okay, let's go to Aria's piece and see a movement from there. Doo-doo-doo. Here we go. Sorry, hold on. The Zoom is in. Okay. So Aria, we have the harp, right? So this piece, I think you're doing for CM, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so this one also has a good amount of things happening. Let's just do the first movement in the whole piece. So we're gonna start in what 5-finger position is this gonna be?
A.
A. Very good. So everybody, if you can get your hand in an A position, we can just work on the right hand, so you guys can ignore the left hand. So let's just look up at this part. Okay, so if our hand is in an A5-finger position, and we are able to just play these in this position, what happens, or what is the movement that we have to do in order to get our third finger to this note? Ari, I'm gonna give them a second to think about it.
Okay.
So A position, right? And our third finger is going up a step. So how do we get there? Naya,
You're shifting down.
you said shifting down. So in this case, we're actually, the note is going up a step, right? So we have to move our finger somehow to get, right, our third finger. So let me show you this third finger, which is on this note right here, right, C, and we're moving up step. So how are we getting that third finger to B? Or sorry, D, my bad. Okay, Aria.
You stretch.
Exactly. Very good. So we're gonna do a stretch here. So let me show you guys that movement. It'll look like this, kind of like a crescent moon, right? And that means the third finger now is able to, right, stretch to D. So now let's have everybody practice that. So remember A position, and then we're stretching the third finger, which also means, right, the fifth finger over here is going to follow, right? Everything past that third finger is also stretching. Eva, you have a question?
I don't really understand.
You don't understand like how to do the stretch or what it means or
Like how to do it.
how to do it? Yeah, let me show you. So I'll have Aria just play it for us, and then I will show you guys how that looks. And then Eva and Naya, you guys can give it a try too. Okay. So Aria, can you just play the right hand in these first two measures here?
Okay.
Exactly. Awesome. Okay, so what that would look like, let me show you. Just to unblur. Okay. So we have our fingers on this A 5-finger scale, right? So when we do a stretch, that can be something like this. So I'm going to show you with my thumb stretching to G, would just be like this. My thumb stretching to F, that's a double stretch. You can also have a triple stretch, which is an octave, right? So when we're doing a stretch with our middle finger to get to this note, we want to adjust this way, right? You see how all of our fingers are moving by one step. So that way the third finger can stretch here, and that would go from this A 5-finger position to now this stretched position. Does that make sense?
A little.
A little bit? Yeah, think of a stretch as just you're moving outside of your 5-finger position and you want to get to a further note, right? You don't want to be constrained to just these 5 notes. So you can stretch your pinky, you can stretch your thumb, your middle finger, you can stretch any finger in order to get where you need to go. So here we just need to stretch the 3rd finger because, again, this hand position is no longer reachable with 5 fingers, right? Make a little more sense or a little bit? Okay. So yeah, I'll give you some time to try that out. And then Naya, can you give it a try? These first 2 measures, right hand only. And then the second one, you're gonna stretch the 3rd finger to D. Yes, exactly. Very good. All right, Eva, if you can give this a try, starting on the A position, and then we'll stretch. Yeah, so you actually played both hands, so nice job. Were you able to get the stretch down that your 3rd finger moved over to D? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so that's you're doing the movement. Maybe you're not familiar with like how it looks or the name of it, but yeah, that's what a stretch does. So you're just moving that finger. It can be 1 to 3 steps, I would say. The most I've seen is an octave, which again is a triple stretch. Okay, so last but not least, we'll go to, I think Eva's piece was the one we haven't gotten to yet. So let's look at hers. Oh yeah. So your piece had actually an interesting ollie movement over here, which caught my attention. But something that doesn't really come up as often, I think, is this symbol right here. So how many of you have seen this symbol? I'll put a little box over it. So Eva, good, I'm glad. Since it's your piece. Aria, you've seen it? Okay. So Naya, you haven't seen this one before? No? Okay. So Eva or Arya, could one of you tell me what this is, or maybe not what it's called, but what it does?
It means you go back to the 5-finger position.
Exactly. Yeah. So one way to remember that, it kind of looks like a little flame or something, but at least to me. But here I can see how there's like 5 lines drawn. So that's just showing we're going back to the 5-finger position, because if you look at the measure before, we have a stretch for the left hand, right? So yeah, that's happening in this piece. And then the other thing I would like to talk about, because here I noticed, I don't think the poly movement would be too easy, but let's just look at a similar one without the stretch. So that would be this note right here, right? You guys can see it has a little symbol to the left of it. What is that symbol called? Eva.
Flat.
Yes, exactly. So what does that mean? Like, what does that do to the note?
It's a black key, but not like a sharp.
Exactly. So does anyone know, like from a C 5-finger scale, again, we're going to do this movement together, right? It says we are in the key of C major, which means all of our fingers are on the white notes from C to G, okay? So what do we do with our third finger to get to this flat?
You go down a half step.
You go down a half step, yes. There's a name for it, if anybody knows.
Wait, D sharp or E flat?
It's an E flat, yeah. So I'm drawing the movement right here. This is called, you guys might have seen it. It's a type of shift, right? Because this is an arrow. I just use the arrow. It's a little easier to draw. But this is called a shift back, right? A sharp would be a shift forward. This one specifically is a shift back. Eva.
I have to go now.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, I'm gonna just wrap up. But feel free to log off. Good work. Yeah. So this is called, like I said, the shift back. So let's have you guys just try this really quick. Right, you're gonna move that third finger down to the E flat. If Naya, if you want to go first. You can just play the C and then the E flat. So I heard the C. Yeah, very good. And then Arya. You got another note in there, but yeah, you got the shit. Very good. All right. Well, thank you both, and to Eva, all of you guys, for great participation and great playing. I will see you guys next time, and have a great rest of your day.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.